The next question is for Mr. Lambert. What special strengths do you believe you would bring to the board?
I believe that first of all, I would bring perhaps more of a outsider's view to the board, I guess. I'm certainly not part of the educational establishment. I'm a citizen in town. Everybody has a right to run for a position, and here I am. I think that certainly I have experience managing people. I have experience at managing a budget. I have experience in getting things done, setting up goals and seeing them through to the end. And I also believe that as a citizen, I'm certainly not a lawyer, and I'm not here to bag on lawyers, but I'm a citizen, I guess, if you want to call me a practitioner of law in a way. And so I think that I would bring in the perspective of the citizen as I think founders intended in the state and in the country, where we're all supposed to have an understanding of the laws under which we must live. And so I certainly, I've been part of a winning team in a Supreme Court case, involved in another, and I just find the law interesting. So, and again, with this school board thinking over certain matters in the past, I think I could bring a level of compliance that might not be there or have been there always, especially with the right to know law. And also, finally, I'm a bit of a voracious reader. I'm interested in history, and I'm an absolute believer in lifelong education, and I believe I was given the tools to succeed, and I certainly would like to see that in all our students as well. So I think that I have my perspective and my point of view, which may be different from others. Nobody's point of view is necessarily wrong, but I think the more the merrier when it comes to running self-government, which at the end, that's what this is. Self-government, local control, educating our children. Thank you.
This question is for Miss Barbara Eichinger. Where is your actual residence, Bedford or Guilford?
Thank you for that question. I think I stated earlier, I am a resident of Guilford, New Hampshire. That is my residence, okay? I know this has got to be an issue for some people. That's why I've gotten the same question twice. You know, believe me, if my residency in the town of Guilford would have been an issue, my neighbor who sued me and hired the most expensive lawyer in the entire state would have taken that to task, okay? Championed the petition warrant article that basically ended the lawsuit. You know, if he could have gotten me on a residency issue, he would have done it. So I believe he's probably tried that, you know, and spoken with the Secretary of State, and my residency is Guilford, and that's the way it goes. Thanks.
The next question is for Mr. Lambert. You are currently involved in the legal action against the SAU. Will you be plaintiff of the defendant should you get elected?
Can you say that again? Will I be what?
You currently are involved in a legal action against the SAU. Will you be plaintiff?
I think it's plaintiff of a defendant. Oh, plaintiff of a defendant.
Plaintiff of a defendant.
Probably or a defendant.
Yeah, maybe.
Actually, I'm what's called a petitioner, and that is a good question. And perhaps, should I get elected, I'd be able to sit in with the lawyer and hear the discussion, or perhaps I could make a motion to settle the suit. So I guess on the one hand, I would be the petitioner. I don't know, I really cannot answer truthfully whether I would be also known as a defendant or not. I guess maybe a recusant? I don't know. That's the best answer I can give. I really would like to see that suit settled. I'm surprised we haven't heard yet, but. So maybe I could add Victor to that list as well. Thank you.
This question is for Doug Lambert.
Oh, my chair over here does stand up there, Doug. No point in sitting down.
The Guilford School District fosters diversity and acceptance of all, no matter what his or her sexual orientation. Given your documented views, how will you be able to support these positive ideals as a school board member?
Certainly, there's rules. Every person, no matter who they are, what they do, what their background is deserving of full support and humanity and compassion, consideration, however you want to put it. I really don't see, when your mission is education and community, how somebody could be discriminated against in any capacity in today's environment. I just don't see it happening. And believe me, I am not a person that believes in treating people badly. I certainly, the incident you referred to, I said a bad thing about an individual, and I apologize for it. I paid a price, and I did a lot of contemplation about, you know, people's feelings and the power that words can have. And certainly I can promise you that every student, every child in this building will get all the support and protection and compassion. I'll be leading the charge against any type of negativity that would be placed against any individual in this building for any view whatsoever. We're all citizens, we're all people, we're all God's children, and we're all entitled to the ultimate respect as individual humans deserve. And that's all I can really say. Thank you.
This question is from Mr. Murphy. What do you think should be the term limits for budget committee member?
That is a question I haven't really thought about. I know that I'm looking for my third term, which would be 9 years. I felt and thought quite a bit about not running for the budget committee. In fact, I was thinking about running for the school board instead, to give somebody else a shot at running for the budget committee. There are some people who wish to continue to run for a given committee. I would say that's fine until somebody decides to run and takes away more votes than what that person does. Personally, I feel that for me, this probably would be my last term, and then I might take a little bit of time off and probably run for something else in town. It'll be 9 years if I am elected, and I think that's plenty for me on the budget committee. And I would move on or move off, one of the two. I can't make that decision for somebody else. I don't think that I could. That's up to the voters. Thank you.
This question is for Mr. Skip Murphy. What is your long-range goal for Guilford in terms of lowering the tax rate?
Tax rate is really one of the three legs. Tax rate, the assessments, and the spending. Of those three things, spending is the most important as far as how high taxes go, and therefore the tax assessment is concerned. Certainly a lot of people put a big emphasis on the tax rates. because it is a function of what is the spending in town. It's a good, easy way at times, and for some people to judge, is this town doing a better or worse job at maintaining or watching over their spending, or how are they growing their tax base? But as far as I'm concerned, I look at it as controlling spending is the greatest determinant of what the tax rate is going to be. And hopefully I've answered that question correctly.
The next question is from Ms. Barbara. Your position during the recent years has been to cut the budget. What other services and what services do you propose to cut?
Thanks for that question. Well, first I would take a good analytical look at the budget and the various spending. Okay, so one of the things that I did right off the bat was I looked at the employees. Okay, so as Skip pointed out, we have several employees that are overcompensated with respect to the private sector. So I would look at, realigning or right-sizing some of that compensation. But then again, I don't have control over that as a budget committee member, so that would just be the type of suggestions that I would make. The other thing would be to look for some more efficiency, maybe between the town and the school district as far as sharing DPW resources, outsourcing certain things, some of the topics that Mr. Lambert offered. So there's lots of things that we've had to do in the private sector as far as being more efficient that allows us to do more with less and be more efficient. And I think that the local government can do that. So I would look for areas of efficiency, areas that we're spending too much, and recommend those cuts.
This question is for Mr. Weber. In the 2012 annual report, you stated that the school board decided to continue in its plan to hire a superintendent after the election. But in reality, the new superintendent signed his contract the day before the election. What is your explanation for this factual error in your official report to the voter of this great town?
First of all, I don't think that's an error. I mean, it's well known. We announced, well, let's step back a little bit. In 1998, the SAU Planning Committee made a recommendation of a management structure. That proposed management structure was voted upon in the town meeting. At the town meeting, the chair of the SAU Planning Committee was quoted as saying that this management structure was not written in stone. It could change. This chair of the school board was quoted saying basically the same thing, that it was a work in progress. After the election in 1998, an SAU transition committee was formed. The SAU transition committee took a look at that management plan and started trying to implement it. And one of the key parts of that management plan was that the school district's finances were going to be handled by the town. So really, the issue was not the position of the superintendent. It was actually a position of the budget, or excuse me, the finance manager. The proposal from the SAU Planning Committee had a school administrator. If you look at the job description of a school administrator, of the school administrator as it was proposed, it's basically a superintendent. The only difference was the name. So the SAU Transition Committee, after negotiating with the town, determined that the town was not prepared at that time to take over the school's finances. And so they came up with the current management structures that we've had. When there was a suggestion made in the fall of 2010 that we move to this management structure, from the very beginning, the school board was unanimous in saying that doesn't make sense. It's not going to work, because you have, in an organization as large and as complex as a school district, you need somebody in charge. You need you need a experienced educator who can make the hard decisions. When you have to cut budgets, and you've got 3 building principals, none of those building principals is going to be saying, oh, cut me. It's human nature, okay? And so you need an experienced educator who can help make those decisions. So from the very beginning, we said, no, we are going to continue with the process of hiring a new superintendent. We said that in numerous board meetings, probably, I think in November, December, January, November, December of 2010, January, we kept on saying it, and we continued with the process of hiring the new school superintendent. The reason we announced it the day before the election was because we had finished. We had 3 candidates, and we had determined which one we wanted to hire, and we had to make the decision because one of those candidates had already been offered another position. It was not fair to leave him hanging in the breeze, waiting for an election, which we had also repeatedly said, on the advice of our lawyers, that warrant article was advisory in nature. So that is hopefully explains the situation. The school board, not only the Guilford School Board, but the Gilmanton School Board, have been unanimous since this proposal was made that it is not in the best interest of the school district or the children of Guilford and Gilmanton to move to a management structure that has no one in charge. Hope that answers the question.
If there's no other questions for David that have been given to David, our final question will be from Miss Barbara. And I'm unable to read this question. I'm apologizing. So I was wondering if Peter Millam would be...
I'd be happy to. I can be heard from here. Well, do me the... You have recently testified before the Legislative Committee supporting a bill to study allowing Governor's Island and the other islands to withdraw from Guilford. Do you believe that this if they did that, it would benefit Guilford and the budget?
There's just a little correction there, Mr. Milham. What that bill does, it forms a study committee to look at forming smaller political subdivisions. And if you would like to read my testimony.
I have.
Okay.
And that's why I asked this question. It surprised me.
We took a look at village districts, okay? I mean, one of the topics that we had talked about on Governor's Island was forming a village district, okay? The problem that we have over on Governor's Island is that we have to pay the tax rate for services that we don't receive. For example, if we wanted to have our own police and fire and ambulance, okay? The way the village districts laws are currently written, we can't do that without layering that cost on top. For example, when we dial 911 on Governor's Island, Laconia shows up first. I mean, we're literally 5 minutes from the Weirs, okay? So the idea was floated, if we could expand the laws of the village district, perhaps we could contract with Laconia for our police and fire since they're so close to us. Now, with regards to the paper that I wrote, about a year ago, as far as Governor's Island forming its own municipality, I mean, certainly that's part of your question, okay? That isn't Plan A, okay? Plan B is for Governor's Island, if the people so wanted to, was to form their own municipality. Plan A is to stay with the town of Guilford, okay? That's Plan A. That's why I'm here, okay? Because if I were to ever stand in front of the state legislature and say, gee, we want to form a new town, the first one since 1962, I better be damn sure that I did my homework, that I did everything possible to try to lower that tax rate to keep Governor's Island part of Guilford. And that's really why I'm here, and that's why I've put a lot of emphasis on taking a look at the numbers, getting more visibility for the public to see what's going on, putting those petition warrant articles forward to give more voters showing up at the polls, give the default budget committee a chance, the budget committee to do the default budget. And that's really, can we solve the problem, okay, that the waterfront homeowners find here in Guilford, is that, can we solve the problem of the tax rate? Can we bring that tax rate down? I think we can. Okay, I think we can bring that tax rate down to 15 per thousand over the next 3 years. Then there's no need, okay, I'll never have the support on Governor's Island to form a new municipality if we fix the problem, okay? And yeah, I mean, that's what I believe, and that's part of the process. Thanks for the question, Mr. Millhill.
This concludes our candidates' night, and we thank the candidates and public for coming this evening.
Crop tape.